Three Drubcho Cola, Cassie Shoy, the three Tati, the Drub the Chile, Havano, Shake your, the Drunga, the Patago, Shake your, the Payamati Haho, your, actually, Jamakiwatin and the main Joasson, the Jim ship on Haram the cover, the two native, so Yabu on my Jabashi by the day, on the corner Yabole. Drubara the Nita, she's the Drubate, 17 Saji, chair meba, Daji Nibala, Daji Ni the Tornatilla, ship the Drubala, don't the Mato, the Daji Ni Cha, Terangi, Daji, Jeoche, so Naya Jabati, Jungis, the Military Ram, Sangi, Chadang, Lavania, Yongore, Chadang Tawani, Yongore, Redoing Ade, Ma, the Yapo, go, the Jack from Tawag, Chadang is the Rapagatini, Tawag, Redo, Rapak Chadang Chadi. There is in it, that Chadang Tawaka, and take Dadi, so Chapway Soko, Dadi, Soko. It is a Kalapaman, so the Baktato water, so there is she's the father, she's the father, new about the water, that is all you are Redon, so I'm same tower that there. Oh, Redon is down, Germany, Tapichi, the Naya Machago, some the way, they more than it. How many cities of the other things of Chuji Council? What the times I talked about 70 was away, 70 times on some also mind or shoot about 11 days, not about this song or get him or there. Literally, Tambo, Shidep. Daji Masi Tomato, the Nidisha, Helen Drub, Redon, the Chadang Char. Three lays the Chadang lays on Carriagina, Ranga Pimpa Tazi, Hora, Kaji or Ranga Pimpa Yina Manuba, the Shiago Taker, the Kaji, Ranga Pin, Sana Kari in the Driver, simply to say Sakayori, three theatre, Chata Rapachuba, the New Mount Draba, the New Mount Draba. The Pachad, that lake as a Nova Cathedral, that lays down. The later Pachad about it, that Draba Yeti, the Chayore. The Draba Yeti, you have a dark career. Chin, you come in, that's it, you top Pachad little. There, they don't throw at it, just some other Nigeria song data. They come to you, they are to tell it to go. That just down in and you move the song. When some doctor took the material, you about talk some, you about talk carried them, though Charles send not this only, didn't do Charles send not you, they knew about talk child. You don't do Charlie, you move, there's a young boy is only, no child send not there, 3 hours later. They don't tell you about rail and other something. The Southern Judge, Dandy, you move, so you move less, I led the Pachad told her, did they dance in Manamoni, did they don't tell her. Similarly, you the Pachas.
So I will say a few words about the obscurations. So we know there are obscurations, and we speak about now I'm purifying obscurations. So we have some awareness of the obscurations, and we understand roughly how non-virtue leads to suffering. So we have a rough understanding of karma, but we don't actually really understand what the obscuration, for example, actually is. There's different kinds of obscurations. So there is the subtle obscurations to omniscience, and there are the obscurations of afflictive emotions. So these subtle obscurations to omniscience is the ultimate obscuration that we fail to see that our mind and the Buddha's mind is actually the same. And because we cannot see that, we perceive a dualistic existence of self and other. That is the most subtle obscuration. It is self-grasping. And because there is self-grasping, the other afflictive emotions or the other obscurations arise. Because they're self-grasping, we develop thoughts of attachment and aversion on the coarse level, and their subtle counterparts are hope and fear. So everything is about me. I want this, I want that, I want a delicious cup of tea. If it's not delicious, I don't want it. So we are constantly concerned about what I want. And in this way, by liking something or disliking something else, we accumulate self-grasping more and more, just like snowflakes accumulating. And in this way, our habitual tendencies, these karmic imprints, gradually grow stronger and thicker. So we need to look at our own mind to find these obscurations there. Even if we practice the holy dharma, for example, we might think that I'm practicing the holy dharma, but really I'm doing it so that I turn out well, that I gain something from that. When actually the holy dharma is the very antidote to that kind of thinking. I want something for myself. No matter what we do, whether we practice the dharma or we engage in a worldly activity, it's always me that's most important. But when we practice the dharma, actually, the essence of the dharma is that bodhicitta is most important, that we think about other sentient beings that are more important. It is because of this thinking of I, me, that we have this subtle obscuration to omniscience. That's why we cannot see the nature of our mind, because there's this constant notion of I, me. And because of that, there is other. And that is why we cannot truly understand non-duality. And therefore, we cannot truly understand the nature of our mind. And because of the I being present, we develop all the other obscurations. As we said, on the coarse level, attachment and aversion; on the subtle level, hope and fear. So the obscurations of afflictive emotions arise. And then when they arise, we act on them, so we accumulate karma. We engage in action, and whatever action we engage in, again, we just do it for ourselves, for our own benefit, to benefit ourselves. Those who possess a little bit of more intelligence, they may feel that, of course, I want to benefit myself, but I also don't want to harm others. That shows a little more intelligence. But there are some who don't even care if they're harming others or not. Even if it means killing somebody else, they will do it because it benefits themselves. So that is the coarse attachment and aversion. That is called the obscuration of the afflictive emotion. And so that leads to the obscuration of karmic imprints, which are the habitual tendencies. And with these we accumulate karma, the obscuration of karma. So in this way we have a total of 4 obscurations. And as one sign how that they are really performing their functions is that, for example, when you're sleeping at night, you're dreaming, you have this imprint body in the dream, this dream body. Even though it's not your real body, you still experience happiness and suffering. And sometimes when you develop some love and compassion, you temporarily experience the happiness of the higher realms. And then for the most part, we develop self-grasping and the afflictive emotions. So we need to experience the suffering in the 3 lower realms. So the 6 realms of samsara are caused by the 6 afflictions. And sometimes we call them the 5 afflictions because attachment and stinginess are grouped into one. Attachment on its own is said to be a little bit lighter in severity. But attachment together with stinginess is karma that leads to birth as a hungry spirit. And then each of the 6 afflictive emotions can be combined with each other. So the cause, again, is self-grasping. And that leads to the afflictive emotions. That leads to karmic imprints. We accumulate karma, and then these karmic imprints grow stronger and thicker. And we can see this happening, for example, when we are dreaming at night, when we experience various experiences of happiness and suffering. So these are those karmic imprints that we are experiencing.
Teni terasa dikpa shiba kari le kari tila mandu yodo thola chak dagula te dikpa dagula te magi dongi jatara mandu yodo dikpa te dikpa tila ta minchur kari je yeri tena tila ta namni jindre tila nyarwa te ngune tila ta nyuma kwa lamsang taaro sa tila chukang minkang tawa yambari Tiri rokato nyawa shetanga nyawa rocha me senaka yada tate rokato to ngajaga la tiri chado sami nyumong tokte rokato tokte cha samong tokte cha tiri rokato nyumwa kokshakchina tichara tiri nami dewa tangha nyawa tiri toli jimtuyin dewa so jimtuyin dewa sepa jimtuyin yongwa jimtuyin niyore Seba jumtu de Seba jumtu rang jia ha kari le kari de ji jin de yang de jie de pang ne be ko da me rang si jia ge yo le rang si jia be le so yang de ni de ju se be le de ren pe zhu yo le Seba jumtu yo jumtu de da ko de da rang de dong de me tu de ju che me ba jia ce lo gang so na ro gang so de yong ge be le xie dang shou jie zong da gong de Jumri kitchen summer as of some kitties was on that of the Guarata. There's a more yore, also the doctor of Caricachaso, or the Rangi, Shetang Chado, or no chat that is such a go. The Rangi Tandi theatre in Munimona, the theatre, Charlie or Testing. Oh, that I just emailed there is another. Jumde Musutom, Jumde Lamarachi, Charlie Yore. You was social round doctor. Tsok cha dungzhong kaji sa pori kei limbo jie tamche yungzu kei tangwe kaji ta dungzhong dungwa ta tamche jie pa dang chot dang xin chewe te sabi nyongwa jimchun song sipa jimchun re te sang nyongwa jimchun te dungye jingxe me ba chot nyongwa jimchun te sipa jimchun jingxe song teri jiru chewe le tere te mangda pan zho re tere teni jimchun jingxe nyongwa jimchun song te teni ta semchi sabje dungye zhuwa zhu masa zhorje tiba nyongwa jimchun ta rana ki nyongba kari le tere teni ranga nyong do ta dakti te zho te sa hako re tere jimchun zhewe song nami jin zhewe nyawa jimchun jin zhewe sipa jimchun nyongwa jimchun ni
And so what we call a negativity or a wrong. So the literal term, so in Tibetan the term is dikpa, and what it's the literal meaning of this word is that something, it falls back upon us, something that hits us, although we don't want it. We don't want to suffer, but we create the cause of suffering. So without us wanting to suffer, it will fall back upon us. So that's the meaning of this term, wrong or misdeed. And then we also should understand the way in which these misdeeds ripen. First, there is the result of full maturation. For example, that is the direct birth in the hell realm. And in those hell realms, or in these various experiences of suffering, we are actually purifying our afflictive emotions, our negative karma. So the hell realm, therefore, is like a washing place where we can wash ourselves, or it's like a hospital. So if anger is dominant, then we take birth in the hell realm. And if desire is predominant, then we take birth as a human. If stinginess is predominant, we take birth as a hungry spirit. If pride is predominant, we take birth as a god. If jealousy is predominant, we take birth as a jealous god. And so anyways, the 6 realms of samsara lead to birth in like the 6 afflictive emotions lead to birth in the 6 realms of samsara. And whichever one of the 6 afflictions is the strongest will determine this result of full maturation. So for example, if it's anger, then we take birth in hell. And then after that, there is the result corresponding to the cause. And that is twofold. There is an experience corresponding to the cause, and an activity corresponding to the cause. The activity corresponding to the cause is that in a previous life, if you have engaged in a certain activity, then you will you continue to engage in this activity. So you have this tendency towards a certain activity in this life. So that's the activity corresponding to the cause. For example, if someone commits suicide, then they will have to experience this over and over again. This is also referred to as the proliferating result. So karma that proliferates, we do it something again and again. And then there is the experience corresponding to the cause, and that is in all future lifetimes, wherever we are born in the 6 realms, we will over and over again go through similar experiences. So again, for example, if the predominant affliction is anger, Thigten Sumgön had said that the ripening of karma is the manifestation of one's moment-to-moment thoughts. So for example, when we look at a poisonous snake or a scorpion, they also possess Buddha nature. Then why do they have a body like this? It is because of anger, hatred, jealousy, and they naturally manifest in this form. Actually, we can see the 6 realms of samsara all represented in this human world. This human world is really a great teacher on karma. So all manifestations are a manifestation of one's own mind. For example, the snake and the scorpion. Then there's other animals that, like a bird, for example, that is very beautiful, has a beautiful voice, and we invite them in. And then when we see a snake or a scorpion, then we have an aversion. We try to get away from them. And that's because in their mind there's aversion too. So that is the result corresponding to the cause, and that has an experience and activity corresponding to the cause. And then there is also the proliferating result, and that just means that whatever karma is created, it will multiply, it will increase more and more. And so whatever karma has been accumulated, that karma will have to be, the outcome of that will have to be experienced again and again. So these are the various stages of karma ripening. The result of full maturation, for example, birth in hell, and then the result corresponding to the cause, which is twofold, the experience and the activity.
대다 탐체는 저리더라. 왕거들어서 왕거들어서 라왕미바 배는 윤보시 당근데 야고 말에 싸움이들 세당 람터들이 라왕미바라는 거 도다가로 탐체들이 호로라면서 삼세 매만도 그래. 왕거들어서 독실해야지. 왕거들어들이 바도네들이 레티 왕거들이 라왕미바거든이 총내라 참조요 그래. 내가 이미 다다더라. 왕거들어서 다다더 라왕이 어떻게 되다. 샘되고 단지는 저동을 진피로 저지도 라왕족을 배는 유보 타와지나 그 라상 실대 하고 실압도 뭐 대들이 사제 좀 보고도 대체 좀 사제 좀 실압대 사제 좀 실압대 팔았지만 샘그 내록질 된 조가 돼도 저다 나와 담배랑 그 샘소는 혼디니가 샘그 좋아해야지 샘이 내가 봐 되는 요아더니 샘 코로나 제시 배워 하고 샘 코로나 제시 요 말대 이 바로 인삼도 내가 동네에 초와서 용거리 내가 레좀들 잡고 그래서 레좀들 잡고 동네 매가 되실 짐리가 맥시고 다다른들이 참아가 제시 봐요 거네 이라리 소리면 얘들이 다리 동네 말이 다들 놀는죠 단디지 말바데 성들이 유모가 제대로 성도 하고는 그때 또 산속습이 되니 단디니 뭐 산속습이 찍고세 다 주방 제대로 동자가 산속습는 데서 그 산속습이 때문에들이 다른 토마 잠론에 건설을 따로들이 샘지바 이게 좀 들르고 박차 정말 슬라이슬라스랑 나가 박차 정말 나 대파 그 샘지 박차 정말 따다다 세비바 이제 고독 산속습이 사바 세비바 그 돈다고 산속습 하고서는 그때 다 상제 공방이 되는 데가 되지 톱에 돈나가 산속습 가지 하고나 그때를 빠르게 막 톱되는 그 콘데 탐진 콘데 이가 세번으로 타와 되다왜 이 콘데 녀더니 드마다고 하고 때 콘데 녀 딱고 시작하면 가는 딱고 시 감성 딱고 시행해서 좀 이제 좀 말이 잡으세요. 그 딱고 시작하는 통 듣고 요리지 그게 좀 잡속이 말을 건너서 오 대책 좀 이시게 뭔가 좀 강도성을 딱고 지금 서다로 다니다나 실리 탑지가 데이터를 배우는 성성은 탑지 내가 로르다 그래 맞아서 다톡 상제들 본적 요말 제시 요말에서 대하고 이런 것도 용은 높이래 누가로 가는 게는 따뜻한데 독도로서 다만 통을 빼다 무슨 던도디 똑같이 고도도 용아 유는 용거 동이 지식이 성 누가를 접는 던도디 독실에 배나 또 또목 림바이 민바이 성제에서 무슨 말 이 용어스 발다다 땡땡 메당 자와이 대주릉도요 더바치스 과세이드 다 단디니지 색도 그래 어텔들이 다음에 또 거요 다음에 들이다 사제 공부하더니 들이 죽어던 거 생남 갔다 와 또네 들이 다쟁이 되게 랑 코와를 타는 사제 공부하더니 진조가서 다 로트 그거를 배나 나프리카 잡을 생비 잡지 이 사자체 뭐 어디 동네 다상고 대봐 이 토탈들이 내가 들이다다 하선 콜로제 땡땡 메당 자와를 대주릉도 저고 도다 무슨 도다데 하고도 찬니 냠니 제야를 가리 셈마이고 때때 들이만 걸로 살고 동 들이 가리네 셈도 들이 때는 따고 사주 태우고 말해 그 셈지도 피고 로데 만나는 때일 때는 제가 라코도 거들은 그 요래 되게 나디 다도로 참아 다로 요래 대회는들이 냠치 괜찮들이 쫄을 대화 노아를 돌려야지 다 들어 가리 다 사주 태우고 보는데 나디 저 보는데 그래 이 피고 산이 저고 산지 진빈들 셈년총 동달리 산 들사족도 짜치 모임 봐 따뜻한 그 비바데 탑 체지 삼고 정화탑제 따라가 동에 이제 막 들이 시작을 하고 들이 이제니 탑을 하고 있으니 생겨 요래 그것도 색이 다다 너무 고속 사족선 삼형제게 다디 됐어요. 이 다디 됐어요. 이 다음에는 이 민마들이 돈당 사족선 이 사제 공방제 이 됐다고 도야고 돼 마다 라랑 마라들이 톡고 요래 대회들이 땡땡 매달 나와라 대줄롱단 저거 그것도 생식 과세송 이때는 다 참조거지.
And then there is a result that is called the governing result or dominating result, and so that determines the kind of birth that we take. So right now we don't have any autonomy. For example, we get angry at someone and we just think that they're not good, and then we decide that they're not good. And then good friends lose their love, and there is just resentment. And that leads really to the worst result in the future. Because later in the bardo, through the force of karma, we will have no control over where we will go. So we will be pulled into the 3 lower realms naturally. So that's kind of the governing result. It just pulls us. We have no control over it. And so therefore it's important to recognize even the most subtle of afflictive emotion, the very moment it arises. Recognize it with clear mindfulness. And that really is the essence of the Buddha, your Buddha nature. We say, I take refuge in wisdom, the heart essence of the Buddha. The Buddha is the perfection of wisdom. It is said that appearances are one's own mind. All of samsara and nirvana is a creation of one's own mind. And the mind transcends birth and death. It will continue to go on. When we wander in the bardo, we are bound to experience happiness or suffering, whatever is our karma. And that is why it is so important to be very careful when it comes to karma. We need to open our eyes to karma and be very mindful and conscientious right now. In the 37 practices, it says, all suffering comes from wishing for one's own happiness. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So all suffering comes down to self-grasping, ignorance. And from this arise all the other 84,000 afflictive emotions. The only antidote to self-grasping is bodhicitta. That is why it is said the essence of the 84,000 teachings is bodhicitta. So first we must take refuge in the three jewels, and then we must cultivate a mind of bodhicitta. And with that, we then visualize the form of the deity clearly in order to purify the karmic imprints of the body. In order to purify the karmic imprints of the speech, we recite the deity's mantra. And in this way, we purify the mind of all grasping. The mental obscurations are mainly purified through the relative bodhicitta, or immeasurable love. The ultimate bodhicitta is the attainment of enlightenment, when we realize the nature of the mind, when awareness reaches freedom. So the root of samsara and nirvana of all appearances is within our mind. And the state of mind determines where one will take birth, whether it will be in the Pure Lands or anywhere in the three realms of samsaric existence. If you recognize that all appearances are illusory by nature, then you may take birth in the Pure Lands. There's this song by Milarepa that was translated by Kenshin Tsultrim Gyatso, and that song says that when you recognize Buddha nature, this great primordial wisdom, then wherever you go is a pure land, and whoever you meet is a Yidam deity. And the lower realms are also only temporary. They are just an adventitious stain. The mind will continue to go on, and the state of Buddhahood, which is our true nature, remains unchanging. It is never born and it never dies. But until we realize that, we have to experience the happiness and suffering anywhere in the 6 realms of samsara. So one example of that, now how afflictive emotions manifest naturally, is, for example, that poisonous snake, an example of hatred. But also an example of an animal, which is a manifestation of ignorance. And it is actually said that among the 6 realms of samsara, birth as an animal is actually the worst birth one can have, because ignorance is predominant. That's what also Thigden Somgen said, that animals are worst off because they're tormented by ignorance. And that is difficult to become liberated from. So as I mentioned before, the samadhi is like a fire, the mantra recitation is like the wind, and the fire fanned by the wind burns away the wood pile of obscurations. And so again, these obscurations is our dualistic grasping. And that comes down to self-grasping. And when you realize that a self does not exist, you attain the state of enlightenment. That is when you realize the space-like nature of the mind. Within that nature, there is no self and no other. You become liberated from samsara, and you are then able to help others become liberated from samsara. You are able to liberate sentient beings that are as vast as space. And wherever space pervades, the mind pervades. That is also the essence of Mahamudra and Dzogchen teachings. So when we understand the meaning of this, and also that quote we mentioned before, the samadhi, which is like fire, the mantra recitation, which is like wind that burns away the firewood of the obscurations, and we understand that. And once we understand that, so then how do we actually put all of that into practice? So the practice consists of meditating with an undistracted mind, single-pointedly, visualizing the mantra garland, reciting the mantra, all on the basis of bodhicitta, a wish to benefit all sentient beings. Or you can just spin a prayer wheel, for example, on the basis of bodhicitta. And this is how you will purify self-grasping. And when self-grasping is purified, all the other afflictions will naturally become purified. So when we elaborate, we have the endless 6 realms of samsara. And when we condense it all into one, it is only self-grasping. So in the 37 practices, it says, the perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. Bodhicitta is most precious. And try to develop this wish to benefit others. So with wisdom, with awareness, recognize that the mind that only cares about oneself and this life is the cause of suffering. And when you understand that, then finally you will proceed along the path to liberation. And so that is the meaning of this quote again of samadhi is like fire and mantra recitation is like wind, and that burns away the wood of the obscurations. And again, the obscuration is self-grasping. And when there is no grasping at a self, then there is no dualistic perception. And that leads to the ultimate bodhicitta, or the state of enlightenment. So the state of enlightenment is attained through mantra recitation and the practice of the Yidam deity. And so for today, I stop the teachings here.
Rānāngi tētok jimbrē rē kō tōng mē tō rī mā tō tō chō dōngi tē yīchīng bē jā tē yōng rē bā tē yōng kō rē yīchīng mē chē rānāngi chōng rā yā mā tō jimbrē kē lāngā kā yā mā lāngā tō kā yōng mā ngō rē jā tē yōng rā tē wē rā tē nī sēp chē tō chā tē wā tā tē wē chō sāng bā tā nī chē sōng tē kō rā tē tā 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 bā rē rī shirab tē tā chē kē kō rā sām chē tē sēm tā chē tā chē bō rē tē rō sō chā nā nyē tē 쳇 삼제 제슈를 시에도 배티도 우리 체력라더니 체력이 시합을 하고 요래 들이 대회들이 좀제 케리 밀리가 돼. 그 말은 정보를 수장적 정보도 그 말이 레드라는 연구 요래. 라리타와 들이다 점이레베 진다 요말 라리타와 집어들이 요 합스 메 레좀제 메 시에게 요래. And
so now regarding karma, in this world there are some people who believe in karma and some people who do not believe in karma. But from the side of karma, karma doesn't care if you believe in it or not. If you have it, you will experience the results. So if you have the cause of suffering, you will experience suffering, whether you believe in it or not. So therefore, not believing in it will just really be your own loss, because you will still experience the results of your own actions. And so that is why we always say, may beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, which is love and compassion. So those in this world who possess intelligence, they will recognize the importance of love. And even in the animal realm, it is said that scientists have said that the dog is the animal that has the greatest love. And science also knows that, for example, through their intelligence, through their wisdom. And so, in any case, whether or not we believe in karma, if we don't believe in karma, it will only be our own loss, because we will still experience the results of our own actions. In this world, there is really just one viewpoint that really denies that denies the workings of karma and past and future lives, and that is called like a barbarian viewpoint.
뭐가 심피 나오죠. 많은 돈 많은 상제에 속거래 하면 그러면 그는 만든 저쪽에 바로도서 바쪽에 니고나 뒤섬지 상제 탐제 바로도서 바쪽으로 마티니 되니 직자용만 상제고 막 톱성 서지 요 말이 되는 많은들 바로도서 바쪽 창요래지 그 철도 ord는 많은들 가래 다 많은들 삼제래 삼제 제보서 봐 재미 봐도 뭐지 요나 오 디메트라 오 데라 단지 요 말이 되게 정말 ramji 네 되지 랩티 좁아 쇼를 차서 말하리 베서 말이 오 삼제 일 맞게 정말 ramji 그 동고 요래스 수천 ramji 그 동고 이래 지는 도 받자도 말이스 주바 ramji 그 요리들 랑을 받다 정말 도전이 서다 있는 상축 삼제의 자치모에서 주바 ramji 그 용고 요래스 삼디리 되게 샘상만 ramji 그 차가 요래스 야 삼디 내리들이 뚜르 발 맞게 받대 잡고 요리 게임이 남도 또 받대들이 제시 봐요 받대 뚜르 남이 요리스 뚜르 창을 내리들이 시합도 샘데 단디의 뉴먼 뭐 적대 파트라서는 샘관 남이 그 싸마 차고 요리 내리들이 바로도서 봐 적어 탈라들이 따뜻하다 탑당 또당 뭐는 이시지잖아 들이 말할때 파르도 수바 쪄서 거래. 이 사제의 공방을 까비들이 또 쪄들이 배나. 탑 디스트 사제 탑제 공방 몰라 이 시작도 들리지. 사제 탑제 단지 탑제가 손은 쪄도 봐. 대화 몰는데 탑또 가래. 되게 단지 유머가 감성 심지 탑제게 단지로 원정도 봐. 또 대위라서 와서 대위에 단지 somebody 내리들이 몰람제한테 몰람게 듣다 타고 요래 다지령아 예섬제도 섬 손이 껴서 봐야 돼 손남도 까다까 총총 올리고 쓰다 보자 시기요 말이 손남 봐 시기요 말이 손남 원리도 다 삼세래 뭐좀마다 손 삼세께 어디 손남을 해 하고 타고도 삼세 손남시 봐 삼세에서 하고 타는 들이 뭐는 대답이 다 타고 다 보자 타고 주베다 저거 이 시대는 되게 샘들 안 좋은 것들이 단지 sektor라고 단지 sektor 이 시대는 되게 용모 님매와 대하고 이 시라고 요래 이때 바로도서 밖에 안 이거 참게 요래 이 많은 상제에 송아지 동대에 이런 것도 참게 요래 다 상제 거래 다 상제 삼제에 오 주봉제 때도 그 자와 상적 생만터서 이라리 소되면은 조금 상제진 빈셈을 동대지 미가리 다산바 체미래 데이터 사지 속에서 더시고 저 뒤들 돌아가래 돌아가래 돌아다 sabte 보래 sabte 시랍이래 다들 들려면지 라고요래 막내 돈을 가든 로마야 같이 하다 라고요래 들어도 주봉제에 자와 상적 세면데 이 하고 또 데이터 냠니지 이 남바 사지에 때 말이 좀 돼서 또 하고 요래
And the essence of the six-syllable Mani mantra are the six parameters. Also, Zemanand Drubcho Rinpoche had always mentioned that, so for example, when he was requested to give pointing out the nature of mind instruction, he said, recite the Mani mantra. The Mani is the Buddha. And so the essence of the Mani mantra are the six parameters. And there is not a single Buddha of the three times who has attained enlightenment without the six parameters. So they all have attained enlightenment through the six parameters. And the essence of the six parameters is immeasurable love. If a person possesses immeasurable love, they will not grasp at a self. Therefore, they will naturally be generous. So they practice the perfection of generosity. Milarepa said that then the 10 virtuous actions arise naturally. So when there is love, you will naturally practice generosity. You will naturally practice ethical discipline, meaning that you will not want to harm others. If you have love, you will naturally be patient, for example, with your family, your children, and so on, because you understand the preciousness of bodhicitta. then meditative concentration, through meditation, your mind becomes pure. And then diligence, the perfection of diligence, is a careful mind. You're always mindful of your virtuous and non-virtuous thoughts arising in your mind. So such conscientiousness is the nature of diligence. And then the perfection of wisdom is when you actually separate your mind from self-grasping and recognize the pure nature of your mind. And then in addition to these 6 parameters, Milarepa added 4 when he taught the 10 parameters. So the additional 4 parameters are the parameter of method, of power, of aspiration prayer, and of primordial wisdom. For example, when we attain a state of enlightenment, we develop the 10 powers, which is the perfection of power. The perfection of method or skillful means is that the aspiration and the activities of all the Buddhas of the 3 times are one. And their dedication for the sake of sentient beings is one. And dedication prayer is a skillful method to increase one's merit. And then the parameter of power is that as a Buddha, then one has the power to dispel the afflictive emotions, self-grasping. One conquers the 4 maras, which also arise out of self-grasping. The parameter of aspiration prayer is that, for example, the prayer that we make, I dedicate all the roots of virtue accumulated by myself and others with my body, speech, and mind, and so on. So all of the merit we need to skillfully gather and dedicate through aspiration prayer. And there is actually merit all over the place. It's just we don't know that there is merit to be accumulated. We don't know how to recognize that, because we don't recognize what merit actually is. Merit is nothing else but love. For example, when you feel love toward an ant, then that is a great merit. And then if you have that merit, if you have love, you will also naturally be patient. And then there is the parameter of primordial wisdom, and that is accomplished when you realize the nature of your mind and self-grasping diminishes, when you realize non-dual Buddha nature. This non-dual mind is called primordial wisdom. So the 10 parameters are also naturally contained in the Mani mantra. So the Mani mantra is the actual Buddha, and the essence of the Buddha is love. Therefore, it is said the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha have their root in bodhicitta. Or in the 37 practices, it says the perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind, which is the mind of immeasurable love. So this is how we need to learn how to condense the Buddha's teachings. If we condense the Buddha's teachings, they come down to love and wisdom. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to condense the teachings, then practice can become very easy. Of course, there's much to be taught about the Mani, for example. There are many scripture collections that one can speak on. But in order to engage in practice, we need to know how to condense those teachings. And if you are able to do so and engage in practice, then you have gained a good understanding of the Buddha's teachings. From emptiness arises a drum syllable that transforms into a precious container. The initial letters of each of the offerings appear and then transform into the offering substances with the nature of emptiness. Through contemplation, they transform into an unlimited cloud of offerings, which has the power to produce never-ending happiness. In the concise Chenrezig text on page 27, bringing down great secret blessings. From the life force hung at the heart of myself, visualized as the deity, radiates light, invoking the enlightened mind of the Guru, knowledge holders, and three roots. They all appear like billowing clouds and bestow blessings, empowerment, and siddhis, and perform enlightened deeds.
Please stay for a few announcements, please.